Kikipocalypse. It's time for crafting and it's time to make stuff. It's time to get together and discuss stuff. We know that there is lots of stuff to do, and we're gonna do it till everything is all through. Kikipocalypse.
Episode 13.
Welcome back to the jam-packed episode of Kikipocalypse, where we fill our years of quarantine with crafting, baking, growing, and making all sorts of amazing and fun stuff until the collapse of our society or you until the great community. But first, the news.
Good morning and welcome to News in the Garden with Cats, where horrible news is more palatable with felines and flowers.
Good evening. Welcome to News in the Garden with Cats, where we try not to ruin your day with horrible news by putting pretty pictures of the garden and adorable pictures of cats to distract you from everything wrong in the world today. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to ruining another day for you. Have a wonderful time.
Oh look, it's Miss Chanterelle in her beautiful and abundant garden. And Charlie is here too. What a wonderful distraction from all the news I'm about to share with you. Let's begin with the shit show in Texas. After the passing of their most recent forced birth legislation, while it limits a woman's bodily autonomy in a way that men will never experience, it turns everyone from hired drivers to healthcare workers into targets for litigious attacks from Joe Schmo in Miami, Florida, with a $10,000 incentive. With the circus of that madness set aside, this 6-week limit law is causing many clinics in the Lone Star State to stop performing this life-saving procedure as they attempt to protect themselves from financial or violent attacks. Ultimately, this will likely result in many more deaths than it will save, as the United States has the highest priced healthcare with some of the worst results, including some of the highest mother and child mortality rates in the world. The FBI is turning out to be the Federal Bureau of Protecting Powerful Men, as it admits that it did little to keep an accused serial sexual predator off of the highest court in the country and allowed another sexual predator to assault an additional 70-plus young girls because they were busy for 14 months. The investigation by the FBI in the lead up to the confirmation of now Supreme Court Judge Brett I Like Beer Kavanaugh turns out to have been essentially nothing. They didn't interview the accuser, Christine Blasey Ford. They did not interview the accused. They did almost no interviews and passed along almost none of the 4,500 tips that they received through their tip line to White House lawyers, making their investigation essentially worthless. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse stated, quote, "I charge that the tip line was really a tip dump, with all the tips going straight into the dumpster without investigation." In defense of their actions, the FBI claimed that it was conducting a background check rather than a criminal investigation, which meant that the, quote, "authorities, policies, and procedures used to investigate criminal matters did not apply according to their official statement." May I just point out that HR does background checks, not the FB freaking I. The testimony from multiple young women in regards to the FBI's inaction against disgraced USA Gymnastics team doctor Larry Nassar was both inspiring and infuriating to listen to. Infuriating because despite all all parties who were tasked with protecting children and young athletes were aware but did nothing as Nassau continued to assault more children. Inspiring testimony from Simone Biles, Michaela Maroney, Ali Raisman, and Maggie Nichols told the story of a child predator that was not stopped when he should have been and was allowed to assault at least 260 young athletes, including 6 gold medal winners. Nassau, who pleaded guilty to sexually abusing 10 minors in a Michigan court in January of 2018, is serving up to 175 years in prison. He is expected to be behind bars for the rest of his life, after which he will burn in hell for an eternity. In conclusion, one accused serial sexual assaulter ended up in prison, the other ended up as a Supreme Court justice. As for the FB, not I, we will see if these 2 massive and devastating cover-ups will result in changes that will actually protect women and children from sexual predators, or if it will be swallowed up and ignored like all of those 4,500 tips that were just tipped in the bin and forgotten. September 2021 News Quickies. This is the month where #Ballgate became the most talked about scandal in the world for a few days, or at least in the United States and Trinidad. Long story short, vaccines do not make your member shrivel whilst your testes inflate, but it's looking like COVID just might. The Met Gala happened. Most likely the cost of the catering alone would pay your rent for a year. A reminder to our representatives in Washington, D.C., the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is the compromise. So it's time to help the American people through it, as hopefully the beginning of the end of this pandemic. President Manchin is halting the legislation to please his corporate owners, not to help his constituents in West Virginia. Kirsten Sinema is just a disaster. Conservative Democrats, Representative Scott Peters of California, Kurt Schrader of Oregon, and Kathleen Rice from New York voted down the beneficial drug pricing bill in a key committee vote because pharmaceutical companies don't want to lower their overly inflated prices for Americans because they really like money. But those political donations are made strictly because they love democracy, sources say. Mounted Border Patrol agents were caught using the reins to whip Haitian refugees who were attempting to smuggle food to their families and diapers for their babies. Between natural disasters, U.S. interference in their country's economy and government, and their acute lack of a president, have driven desperate families to that golden shore of America, where they are vilified, beaten, and turned away. Breaking news! Some of the refugees will be sent to Gitmo, where they will be watched after by a private firm. As the eviction moratorium comes to an end, many millions of U.S. citizens will be forced to move out of their homes, possibly into a homeless existence. This opens up wonderful investment opportunities for vulture capitalists, foreign and domestic, to snatch up properties with large cash offers, driving up housing prices and lessening housing availability. But if you would just stop eating so much avocado toast, you too could be a homeowner. The sharp increase of verbal and physical assaults on healthcare, hospitality, and service workers across the U.S. is a pretty harsh turn on those who were lauded as heroes and frontline champions only a few months ago. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Private businesses are free to deny service to those who punch their wait staff. Please be kind or stay the fuck home. Speaking of healthcare workers, they are burning out in record numbers as ICU beds fill up across the nation. With a rising number of anti-something-or-other protests growing in number outside of hospitals and clinics, this wave of doctors, nurses, and support staff fleeing the industry looks like it will continue into the foreseeable future. Comedian and Saturday Night Live alum Norm Macdonald passed away after a private 9-year battle with cancer at the age of 61. Former Alternative Facts Secretary and Bowling Green activist had to delete a tweet when she proved she not only doesn't know what's going on in the world, she might not understand how time works. The poles are shrinking whilst the deserts are growing. High temperature records are being broken worldwide this summer, and a hurricane flooded the New York subway system. As we have just entered autumn, the long-term forecasts offer a warmer, wetter winter than last year, with hopes of no ice storms or blizzards. Happy fall, y'all! In international news, the United States military admits that the drone strike on March 29, 2021, that they claim foiled an ISIS-K attack shortly after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, in fact killed a longtime aid worker and his children, the youngest being 2 years old. Drone strikes targeting civilians are illegal according to international law. When asked about the issue during his term, President Obama gave an explanation for the death of such targets. Quote, "It, in effect, counts all military-age men in a strike zone as combatants, according to several administration officials, unless there is explicit intelligence posthumously proving them innocent. Counter-terrorism officials insist this approach is one of simple logic. People in an area of known terrorist activity or found with top Al-Qaeda operatives are probably up to no good. This excuse does not, however, explain this drone bombing, as it was in a residential neighborhood and resulted in the death of 0 enemy combatants and 10 civilians, including an aid worker and his 7 children." Well, that's about all I can take for today. There's so much more, but I'm just tired and I've finished harvesting for the day, so let's end this unpleasantness of reality for a moment and check out the pretty garden harvest.
So in today's harvest, we have a ton of cukes, some who are kind of budgy on their growth, but still good. A couple pickles that overgrew. You can see how large that is. That's kind of big for a little pickle, so fried pickles it is. Then I got a whole bunch of green tomatoes that I'm planning to make into fried green tomatoes. And these are the ones when 2 are growing like really close together. I picked the smaller one to give the larger one more room to grow and breathe and do its thing. Alright, and then these 4 little red beauties are actually off of the last of the starts that I haven't been minding for the last couple weeks. And they made 4 pretty little tomatoes. Here's another little guy. There's a bunch of a green, oh no, that's a lemon cucumber. Super cool. And then more green tomato. More green tomato. Some beautiful ripe tomatoes. Not sure exactly what that's going to be, but there we go. More tomatoes, more tomatoes. Lots and lots and lots of it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That was a lot of horrible in a tiny little garden, so I will leave you with this, our lesson of the day. Never startle a cat who is sniffing your camera. Good night, everyone, and take care. Tomorrow's gotta be better, right?
Wow, that looks delicious. That is Bloody Mary tzatziki in the middle. Time to sit down and enjoy a movie. I'm planning to do the original Night of the Living Dead next month for some Halloween fun, but this episode features my favorite movie of all time, The Legend of Billie Jean.
Let's all go to the movies. Let's all go to the movies. Let's all go to the movies and see what we can learn. The Legend of Billie Jean, released in 1985, rated PG-13, 1 hour and 36 minutes. Director Matthew Robbins, writer Mark Rosenthal, and Lawrence Connor.
Starring Helen Slater as Billie Jean, Christian Slater as Binks, Yeardley Smith as Putter, Martha Gayman as Ophelia, Dean Stockwell as the rich guy's dad. Cop was played by Peter Coyote. IMDb description: a Texas teenager cuts her hair short and becomes an outlaw martyr with her brother and friends. It's definitely one of those descriptions that is not incorrect, but doesn't really say much about the movies. I don't know, it's weird.
3, 2, 1, action!
I actually really kind of miss the TriStar Pegasus.
Back in the day when you had to go to the store to choose out a movie to rent, I would always choose Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but the second one was always up for grabs.
The Legend of Billie Jean, I got because the cover looked cool, and I ended up watching it that night with my family, and then watching it again and again and again. The sun came up. It's one of the first movies that really made me fascinated with film and what film could do. This movie is set in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's an interesting one to look back on because what is cool is not cool anymore, and what is weird is not weird anymore.
Hello, who's this? Eleanor! Okay, Eleanor, you're on the air. Tell it to the
Classic display of toxic masculinity, of men howling and hooting at a woman as she's on a scooter driving down the highway, but they're feeling the need to chase and harass her. The basic setting is Helen Slater and Christian Slater, not related, are teens living in Texas. They live in a trailer park. They're being harassed by the quintessential bully who has a nice car and has his stupid-ass friends.
Hey, thanks. How about a piece of tail? Tastes good. Get your hand off that. Off what? Your sister or your f***ing mobile? Check it out first.
Why, I'm hot.
The alligators.
Well, I can handle alligators.
Bullies are just intent on victimizing. That is the whole point. As they walk up to the scooter, they caress it delicately. But then, as soon as they get the attention of the two people that they're there to harass, they're making noise and whooping and hollering and everything. And this is the point at which it goes from being, silly bullies, whatever, to they actually steal the motorcycle. Now, as Billie Jean is getting out of the water, one of the people that is in the group harassing them is snapping pictures. And those are, in a lot of ways, those are the first viral selfie, well, not selfie, but those are the very, very major precursor to what we see now as being this all-invasive, all-revealing social media. Back then, didn't have it, didn't even have the internet, didn't have cell phones. So my camera's decided to die again. Put in a brand new battery and it's sucked the life out of it. So either I have a ghost or I don't know. So
At
home that night, Billie Jean knows that Binks is going to do something stupid, which is why Binks is there, to do stupid shit. Billie Jean decides she really needs to do something before Binks does some stupid shit.
You get in trouble? What did he do? Can I come, Billie Jean? I love police stations.
She does the right thing. She reports the theft, but you know, boys will be boys. By the time she gets home, Binks has done something stupid.
Oh, Binks!
The next day, she brings an estimate for the repairs of the scooter and proceeds to knee Hubie in the balls, because I believe that was the main go-to in the 80s in general. So Dad comes in, tells Dad's even worse than him just within 3 seconds, because he just is slimy. He has the slimy mustache and the slimy personality. And here is the point at which the father makes as though he is going to rectify the situation in an honorable manner. You know that there's something behind that smile and that awful, awful porn stash. And in order to get the cash, she apparently needs to follow him into the back room. And just like every predator, he makes her feel stupid for feeling uncomfortable with that situation. Ugh, creepy.
The full discussion of The Legend of Billie Jean will be available in the Movie Nostalgia playlist.
This bloody road remains a mystery. A sudden darkness fills the air. What are we running for? Won't anybody help us? What are we running for? When there's nowhere we can run to anymore. We can afford to be innocent. Stand up and face the enemy. It's a do or die situation. These shattered dreams we just can't justify. We're gonna scream until we're satisfied. What are we running for? We got the right to be angry. What are we running for when there's nowhere we can run to anymore?
Who's ready for story time?
Today's story, When Will I Feel Better? You can read along with Auntie Kiki. What a beautiful day for a walk. Kiki has a job to do. She was going to help a friend clean her house. As she dusted, she got achy. She cleaned the counter and she got dizzy. She tried to sweep, but could only sleep. She knew something was wrong. On her walk home, she felt very hot. Then it was very, very cold. She still has so far to walk. Eventually, she made it home. She started the stock pot and went to sleep, and slept, 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 and slept. The day turned into night. The night turned into days. She just didn't feel any better. Sometimes she'd make it out to nap on the couch. There was soup. Mostly, there was sleeping, napping, resting. There was TV. There was internet rage. There was more soup, though it always tasted funny. There was frustration, lots and lots of frustration. Mostly, there was sleeping. So much sleep. One morning, she felt a little better. The next day, she felt a little better. After a while, she was able to make it out to her garden. She wanted more than soup, but her cupboards were bare. Luckily, wonderful friends offered her beans and carrots to paint their home. Auntie Kiki was so happy to have a job to do. It felt so good to be busy and active. Then, one day she felt dizzy. The next day, she felt tired. The day after that, her heart didn't work quite right. Kiki started to feel very scared because she did not feel right. She thought that she had healed. There was something very wrong with her. To be continued.
Oh goodness, I hope she feels better soon.
Spoiler alert, she doesn't.
This is the first of 3 sections of a new kids book I am working on titled When Will I Feel Better? This is my attempt to create a story that may help kids and adults communicate about long-term illness, focusing specifically on long haul or long COVID. If you haven't heard of long COVID or long haulers, now you have. A percentage of those who survive their acute COVID illness have a period of time in which they suffer a wide variety of symptoms that can be debilitating. I'm at month 18. As the seasons change, there's a lot to do in the garden. Time to look forward and start making some plans for fall.
Speaking, just a moment. Go for the couch. Just a moment. Da 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 da.
My name is Anita F. Hill, and I am a professor of law at the University of Oklahoma.
That the most embarrassing question involved, this is not too bad, women's large breasts. That's a word we use all the time. That was the most embarrassing aspect of what Judge Thomas had said to you.
No.
And what was that incident again?
The incident with regard to the Coke can that's spelled out in my statement.
Once again for me, please.
The incident involved his going to his desk, getting up from a work table, going to his desk, looking at this can and saying, "Who put pubic hair on my Coke?"
Was anyone else in his office at the time?
No.
Again, it's difficult, but for the record, what substance did he bring up in this instance at EEOC in his office? What was the content of what he said?
Well, this was a reference to an individual who had a very large penis, and he used the name that he had been referred to in the pornographic material.
Do you recall what it was?
Yes, I do.
How you viewed these conversations?
Yes, they were very ugly. They were very dirty. They were disgusting.
Now again, for the record, did he just say, "I have great physical capability and attributes," or was he more graphic?
He was much more graphic.
Can you tell us what he said?
Franklin Sharpslicer says, hiring a witch doctor, that part's easy. Just talk away a virus if you pleasey. Red peppers and anti-clockwise dance will save Florida such circumstance. Maybe blast a car, worked for margarine so far. Thank you, well, we will get to it.
Do you like to sing? I like to sing.
is ridiculous on my tiny corner. Back inside, we have a beautiful selection of cucumbers, squash, sunflowers, and tomatoes. Those tomatoes turned into some jars of Bloody Mary mix and tomato basil soup with lots of garlic and probably 7 different kinds of basil. Patty pan squash got eaten in soup. These sunflower seeds are about to get seeded. And all of those cucumbers got turned into relish. Sunflower seeds are easy to harvest, store really nicely, and if you don't eat them all, they bloom fabulously again the next year. For easiest harvest, I like to cut down the heads and let them dry. Bend the heads backwards all around the circumference, loosening the seeds and allowing them to pop out more easily. Store the seeds. You want them to continue to dry and cure without mildew or mold. I'm going to scatter about half of these in the areas that I want them to grow next year, and the other half will be kept for some early spring sowing if I see areas that didn't take very well. And that's pretty much it for the garden for the year. Now, most people at this point would be talking about clearing the area, mulching for the year, that sort of thing. Well, that's not how we roll here in the haunted garden.
Welcome to the haunted
garden. What I like to do is a haunted garden. Instead of taking down all of the material that's growing, I actually let it kind of grow out, finish out for the year. The deers do their part to make it look scraggly and funky, and the last of the flowers are blooming and doing their thing. But I integrate the overgrown plants into the design because part of what I like to do is allow the plants to safely winterize themselves. For perennial plants, for plants that will come back every year, they will pull the nutrients of their vines back into their roots. So things like hops and grapevines, I prefer to trim back basically right after Halloween because they make awesome Halloween decorations and it's better for the plant in the long run. And then I also have partially dried mulch as I cut all the mint and flowers, and it just works really well to finish out the garden for the year. Plus it means that I can focus on the decorating part instead of on all the labor that it takes to cut back and haul all of that dead matter away. Along the side here is a driveway that's covered with a carport. There are 2 trees, planting beds, and planting beds. Pretty much grass in the middle. Along the front windows, those get decorated. There are 2 sidewalks along 2 sides of the property. So it's pretty perfect for decorating for the holidays. This area here is well lit by the street light. So I set up my main cemetery display right there in the corner. So I want to do some sort of a pathway there. Between the 2 trees, I have a zombie sight gag that I'm going to set up in this tented area where I will be handing out the goodies for the year. I'm planning to make a banner across the top. They'll have some sort of a blood drip to the bottom or something like that. 2 side panels will look like dripping blood. On the top is going to be a probably 6 to 8 foot wide spider. Along the bottom, it will be filled with the potting containers that I have let the plants go in. So it'll be a whole garden area of like dead plants and stuff, and I'll probably add some eyeballs and stuff to it. I don't know, whatever. And then in the center, I want to have some sort of a cool seated area so that I can have a place to sit down. So instead of candy, although I might do tamarindo again this year, because those went over really well. I'm not a huge fan of giving away candy, so I'm hoping I plan to hand carve and then make molds for a couple of different designs of keychains. Kids would be able to choose between, however many I would get done, 3 or 4 different styles of keychains that would then hang on little hooks right at the front. Kids could choose out which one they wanted, and it would be easier for me to just hang them up right there. Make the spiders scary, probably some lighting effect. Then I want to do a curtain in the back just so that there's possibly a standing area in the back that's not like kid accessible. Plus, that'll help catch the smoke in there. It might keep it a little warmer in there for the length of the evening. This area is back behind the area where the walking zombie will be. So I'm not sure exactly what will happen there, but that is where the smog machine goes. That's always a fun thing. Then the area just to the right of that canopy, between the sidewalk and that area, there are 2 trees, a Japanese maple and a lilac that'll both not look anything like that during the winter, but I have a sort of zombie full figure thing that I'm going to position between the 2 trees so it looks like it's sort of holding itself up by holding onto the trees, and people literally need to walk by like a foot or 2 feet by this thing. There'll be a lot of light around it, but there won't be any light directly on it. I want to set it up so that it some sort of an action to it, probably by doing a string to the top of its head. We can pull a little string and it'll move just enough to like scare people but not traumatize them, which is generally what I go for during Halloween. I have a lot of lighting effects that go on throughout all of this, but yeah, that's going to cause some good screams on Halloween night. As for the area right next to the front door that's next to the cemetery, I want something that is sort of a cool, kind of freaky looking passageway made out of bamboo, because I have so much bamboo at this point. Weave it together so it looks kind of spiky and kind of spider webbish. Spray paint it black. Then in the middle of it, a like 3-foot wide panel of clear acetate, and on one side of it I will hand paint villainous kind of looking thing. something along in that genre of creepy but old school marm. Light it in such a way to try to make it look like it's just a floating head, because that's the sort of trick I'm trying to do. And then on the other side, using the same silhouette, but facing the opposite direction, but also a floating head, would be some sort of a devilish looking, like, mwahaha head. So you're walking one way and it's one face, and you're floating head, and you're walking the other way and it's another floating head. I'm kind of thinking about, I'm not 100% sure on the design. Who knows? Happy Halloween, that's how it goes. I like to overdo it. So here we go. Basic construction, you need 3 boxes, and those 3 boxes should be of various sizes. Of course, boxes don't come rounded. I'm going to show the really quick, easy way to make rounded boxes like that. And that just adds an amount of finish that really makes them look fancy. For this project, you will need tape. I'd suggest just packing tape. It's the easiest to find. 3 boxes. You can do 2 to 5 generally to make nice looking tombstones. About 3 is generally perfect. A hot glue gun and as much hot glue as you can possibly find, and a great way to reinforce the structure. Some scissors and a razor knife, box cutter, air dry clay, acrylic paints, and finally, you can get brush-on sealant, but you're going to be much happier with the spray stuff. And the whole purpose of making wicked cool Halloween decor is that you want it to hold up to weather, you want it to hold up to age, sun, all of that sort of stuff, so that you can use it year to year and build on it. So this year we're going to be building some more fun
in the haunted garden.
Now they live far off in a holler tree. King Kong, kitty, kitty, cry me, yo, where they now have wealth and
Looks like it's going to be a great fall. If you have any questions or have a suggestion for a garden segment, comment it below. I have tons of garden videos available already in the Garden Fun playlist. The following is a segment from my upcoming documentary, In It for the Long Haul. It started with wanting to do a short video with bits of useful knowledge and ideas for other long haulers. Recovery is so much more complex than that, so a full-length movie seemed a good project to focus on during my own recovery. If you have a story you'd like to share with me, I have an email address in the description where you can send me written, audio, or even video about your experience. So here's a preview of In It for the Long Haul.
People ask me if I'm better. It's kind of the same answer as, to whether I notice each pill making a difference or my overall regimen making a difference. I'm so much better than I was, and I bounced back so much better than I did, and my system is better than it was. But for the most part, what I'm seeing is between all the changes that I've made, overall improvement, steady, not always consistent. That's why it's a roller coaster. Within what I'm doing, based upon what the doctors and sources that I trust are saying, I'm doing the right thing, and I'm not having as bad of heart issues anymore. I'm not having nearly the cognitive issues that I used to have.
I am choosing in my recovery to not use any prescription drugs or treatments of the kind. I am attempting to do this all through the proper supplements, the proper balance of supplements, dietary changes, like extreme dietary changes, other pretty intense life changes. The worst symptoms I've been dealing with recently, although it's changed regularly throughout the last 10 months, has been debilitating fatigue, gastrointestinal issues, body, muscle, and joint pain, stiffness. Wow, okay, so I just thought of the last one that I was searching for. It's brain fog. Brain fog is the last one. Let's get on to the supplement. Magnesium. Yes, this right side up would be good. Magnesium citrate. Headache and migraine issues, as well as sleeping and muscle twitchy issues. Because of the size and amount of pills that I have, I do one in the morning and one in the afternoon.
A lot of this information, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of the specific information came to me the first time through the two women that I'm friends with in town who were in the same boat, in the same situation, but were seeing doctors. And so whenever they would get information, they would come to me and be like, oh, there's a D deficiency issue. And so I'd start looking into that. All right, the second one, let's see what we got here. Vitamin D3. The recommended dosage for this is 1 soft gel. B12. These ones are a quick dissolve tab that you put under your tongue because B12 is not absorbed very well through your stomach. Vitamin C is, of course, the basic thing that's recommended to fight anything you're sick with. It's not a bad thing. You do have to worry if you're taking calcium. Calcium and C can interact. These ones are 1 Vitacat daily with meal. So I'll do that every day. Blood clots are a huge issue with both acute COVID infection and with recovery for both long haulers and non-long haulers. So these guys are 325 milligrams. Be careful with aspirin. It can cause stomach ulcers and stomach bleeding. It also is NSAID. So if you have any medical issues with that, obviously talk to your doctor if you have one. I don't have one. Omega fatty acids, those can be, you can actually find ones that are made with either flaxseed, like the ones I have here, or there are ones that are fish oil. Both are effective. Talk to your doctor, look into both of them, see what's best for you. Not only
Does flaxseed help to support my broken ass heart that like is hopefully getting better? Omega fatty acids are excellent and necessary for brain development and are recommended supplements both while you're pregnant to help the brain development of the fetus, but also it is recommended to do omega fatty acids for traumatic injury recovery as well as Alzheimer's treatment. Fatty acids are just necessary and people don't get enough fat in their diet. This helps with a brain healing that is honestly just driving me freaking nuts at this point. So with the flaxseed, it says 1 soft gel daily with water and a meal. These are another ones that I like to double up on just because I figure 1 is for my head, is 1 is for my heart. Next one is potassium. Potassium. All right. Potassium, this one says take 1 capsule 1 to 5 times a day, preferably with food. It is one of those that is all about getting the whole system in order. Next one is zinc. Zinc. And you have to be careful with zinc. Zinc is another one of those that you can get too much of and it will make you sick. This is one that I only ever take the recommended dose, which is this one is 1 capsule. And I don't think I have to go too much into what zinc is good for because one of those good cold, illness adjacent supplements that good to have in your system.
I would say baseline to do just the supplements properly, it would be approximately $100 to $150 per week to get everything that you need.
Selenium, 1 capsule daily. Supports the immune system, help provide antioxidant. Okay, antioxidant, that makes sense. Next one is niacin, heart health, cholesterol balance. Niacin is one that is suggested. It's another one you have to be careful not to take too much of because it can cause issue. You also have to be careful when you buy it as to whether or not you're buying flushing or non-flushing niacin. Quercetin and bromelain. The quercetin is the main one, but the bromelain is one that comes with it that is also recommended. This one is critical. Quercetin is a natural occurring free radical scavenger that supports healthy seasonal immune system function. Laboratory studies have demonstrated that quercetin can also help to promote normal respiratory function. Bromelain has a long history of use by herbalists and is known to help support a balanced immune system response to environmental challenges. Finally, probiotic. Probiotics, again, gotta get the gut working, gotta get the gut working. All right, so those are my pills. This box used to be a whole month because it would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Now it's Monday.
If taken correctly, none of the things I'm taking are detrimental at all. Most of the things that I'm taking, they have short-term benefits. They do not have short-term signals to show you that they're working, which is also part of the reason it's so frustrating. But what they do is together, they allow your body to actually move in the right directions. There aren't solid answers at this point. There isn't track record. There isn't a lot of research. A lot of people have been forced either through circumstance, being geographical isolation or informational isolation. They have found that talking to other people in the same situation, dealing with the same stuff is really helpful. And I have as well throughout.
Update. The previous interview was recorded around the beginning of 2021. My improvement continued through June 2021 with lots of gardening and a few adventures. Currently, I'm coming out of a relapse that lasted a few months. Trigger warning. For those who may want to skip it, timestamp 1 hour, 8 minutes, 47 seconds, about 8 minutes from here, to a simple list of my regimen without some pretty heavy life lessons and TMI. Okay, here we go. Thanks for being here.
Just wanted to do a quick update as it's been a few months. I am now coming out of a pretty severe relapse. Continuous headaches and long-term headaches. I was masking and it didn't work and I regret it. Which I wouldn't feel nauseous from the pills if I ate before, but I'm nauseous before I eat them, and
you're supposed to take them before you eat them. So yeah, everything's just way too complicated at this point. So I was trying to do an update on my supplements, but it was getting too complicated, partially because my neurology stuff is pretty bad again, except when I'm like concentrating and focusing on covering for it. I started eating food I knew I wasn't ready to eat, like tomato and meat, because I'm hungry and I want food and I like food and I miss food and I love to cook and I missed cooking. Sense of smell was finally feeling like it was back. If I ran out of a bottle of something, I just let it go. I just was kind of weaning myself off of the supplements, figuring, well, I feel better. So for the last couple months before shit got bad, late spring, early summer, and was feeling better and was doing better, was thinking clearer, and my heart felt like it was finally getting under control. Okay, so where the fuck was I? Right around when it got really hot, I was feeling really good, and I was house sitting at 2 different houses. I was outside watering 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day between the 2 yards to try to just keep stuff alive, because oh my god, it got so crazy hot. I got a sore on my leg. No big thing. 2 weeks later, it was still just basically a hole. And then 2 weeks after that, it was still not healing. But then everything started to break down. Heart stuff started flaring up insanely. My fatigue started flaring up. My heart started going crazy. I couldn't sleep it was a domino effect. It was this catastrophic domino effect. Everything hurt, and I would get headaches all the time again. I thought I was past all that. I thought I'd be done from all that. Like, I figured out what to do. And at a certain point, I just had to really look at it and say, you know, I know what to do and I'm not doing it. I'm trying to get back to where I was 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't even know at this point. I've lost track of everything. It's like I can't push it at all anymore. And I pushed it, and now I'm paying for it, so I'm not going to go through the rest of the updates on my medicine because it's actually making me too sad. It's all really frustrating, and it's all really frustrating, and it's all really frustrating. And started looking again at this footage, which I have a hard time editing because I don't like editing myself, although I'm getting over that because I just don't care anymore. I realized I had gotten off a lot of the supplements and listening to myself talking about how important they were. That's the one I was saying was critical. So, yeah, I just need to recalibrate. And this whole process of doing this video is actually cathartic in a lot of ways. But if I make this any longer, I'm gonna drive myself insane editing it. So let's just say I'm alive.
This sucks. It's just frustrating. I'm tired of being frustrated. I'm tired of being tired. If this is gonna end like I need to end it, I have to go back and do what I was doing 3 months ago, back when I was just trying to get my heart you're not aware of your heart most of your life. Like, you get scared and you know it's pounding and you notice it, or you're running really fast. It's just this metronome in the background of your existence. I figured it out. I thought I was hoping I was better. This is a reset, and I'm actually pretty grateful that I had the video of explaining all of the supplements and stuff that I was taking, because now I have a record of where I was, why I needed to be doing what I'm doing, and looking forward, that's what I'm gonna be needing to do. Hopefully in a few months I won't be coming out of a relapse that nearly broke me. So, I guess that's it. Take care of yourself.
I want to do a quick update because I am in a better place again, and I feel like I'm on the right track again. And that last one ended a little dark, so I wanted to leave it on a positive note because the changes that I made are working, and I am rebuilding. The roller coaster is so exhausting. Introducing food slower, introducing activity slower, really trying to take a step back and let my body heal after another relapse that hopefully will be the last one. It's hard to remind oneself to be so cognizant of so many different moving parts every minute of the day when bacon burger just sounds so good, but it's not worth it at this point, and it won't be worth it again for a while. If any of this sounds familiar, either for yourself or for someone that you care about, hopefully this episode helps with that a bit, to at least understand if it's happening to you, your body has let you down. Your body has turned into the enemy when all we want to do is get better. But there's no way to speed up slowing down. There's no way to quicken the process other than finding what works for you, what your doctor recommends. If any of these symptoms sound familiar, any of these experiences, either for you or for a family member or someone you care about, the best you can do is just listen and learn and show care and be careful and be safe and do what you can to try to support those around you who might not understand what's going on. I'm putting resources down in the description, information that might help you to ask your doctor the right questions, information that might help you to communicate your experience, and also possible ways to improve your quality of life. Long haulers know that I just know that for myself, really taking a hard look at my nutritional needs and my dietary needs and
trying to do that balancing between what is good for me and what is good is hard. And having done it now for 18 months, well, having done it successfully for 5 or 6 months off and on for the last year, and then everything else just being a complete disaster. I can't tell you it's going to be okay. I can't even tell you you're going to get better. I have to spend all that energy telling myself it's going to get fucking better, because who knows if it's actually going to get better or not. I mean, really. But I'm in a better place now. I'm hopeful. I'm doing what I know I need to be doing. It is a weird experience to be broken again after building up for so long. So I'm just going to keep doing these little videos to help me remember why I'm doing what I'm doing and what the alternative is, because that last relapse was bad, and I can tell that it's better, that I'm better now, my system is better now, but it's still going to be a long road. So here we go. Take care of yourself, take care of the people you care about, take care of your community, be good to each other, and let's just hope this gets better.
Thanks so much for checking out my video. I hope you learned something. Have fun in the garden, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Kikipocalypse.
Episode 30.